Elbaph is about to be destroyed. The fallen Prince Loki is freed, and bro just used the strongest attack in all of One Piece, with his next step being a face-off against the original monster trio.
That's what I've been waiting for.
But that's not all, as Oda just revealed the fears of every child in Elbaph, and one of them is Dragon. Yo, Dragon's in Elbaph!
What did he say?
Okay, it's a dragon, but like, come on, let us dream, alright? Let us sip on some of that hopium.
No.
Dragon might still be in his couch, but everything that's happening right now has further bolstered mine and Yusuf's belief that Loki will join the Straw Hats and face off against the Holy Knights by the end of the Elbaph arc, which of course will give us a legendary prophecy-fulfilling battle with him facing against an evil Dark Nika version of himself. But to start things off, the people of Elbaph have to deal with Shanks' evil twin brother Shamrock's first move, which is kidnapping the giant kids for the Diddy party at Marie Schwab.
Police! Help!
A giant snake believed to be the legendary Jormungandr starts attacking the children at the Walrus School. However, this serpent is nowhere near as large as the real-life concept of Jormungandr, who is said to be big enough to wrap itself around the entirety of Midgard, the realm of men, which in this case is the One Piece planet called the Blue Star. In Nordic mythology, Jormungandr is said to be the child of Loki and Angrboda, and during the events of Ragnarok, it eventually faces off against Thor, where they both meet their ends. Yup, this snake is as strong as Thor in Norse mythology, and this teacher decides to fight it with a stick. What are you doing?
Are you serious right now, bro?
The other teachers also get word about the situation as the principal decides to call the chiefs of Elbaph. This is because they need to take care of the children, and an attack on the school may prove to be more than what a bunch of teachers can handle. But for this so-called giant snake, just 2 of them were enough, as we get to see Principal Kiba dive into action and smack the beast with his hammer like it was nothing. And that's not all, because Saul charges from above with his armament-filled attack, knocking this snake out cold. Yeah, these 2 giants are no joke, as some people tend to forget that Saul was a freaking vice admiral, the same position Kuzan was during the Ohara incident. So this guy's stocks are at an all-time high. But then it is revealed that Principal Kiba was also a former pirate from the Giant Warriors, with both of them now working as teachers for the kids of Elbaph. This relationship highlights the core message of One Piece. The world isn't black and white. Marines aren't always the good guys, and pirates aren't always the bad guys. There is a nuance to things, as both a former Marine and a former pirate share the same dream and now are working together in the Walrus School, teaching the next generation of giants. But coming back to the chapter, as things cool down, Robin and Chopper reveal themselves from Saul's beard, being as confused as the giants, asking whether these beasts exist in the Sun world as well. However, as Saul answers, it is revealed that the Walrus School's PE teacher Wolf was injured while defending the children inside the school. Aren't PE teachers supposed to be like strong and fit? But I can't really blame the guy, since he has no clue what's really happening, as he tells Saul not to touch the children, possibly hinting that his injuries were caused when he tried to protect them. That's right, I said tried, but unfortunately bro did not succeed. As it is then when one of the children explains that their friends were sleepwalking towards the beach as they follow an arrow, which is of course Gunko's doing. This is a similar incident to the story of the Pied Piper of Hamelin, where in 1284 the town of Hamelin was suffering through a rat infestation. A man dressed in multicolored clothing made a deal with the king to remove the rats in return for a large sum of money. When the king accepted the deal, the man used his pipe to lure the rats out of town and into the Weser River, where they drowned. However, after this, the king refused to follow up with his end of the deal, which obviously pissed the Pied Piper, and so guess what he did? Using his pipe, he lured the children of Hamelin out of the town, where they were never seen again. Sound familiar? Well, we know Oda uses a real-life inspiration when drafting the One Piece story, and Elbaph being this fairy tale-esque land makes sense for Oda to use them to enhance the storytelling. Furthermore, this link to the Pied Piper story could also hint at Imu's deep state agenda regarding Elbaph. I've already discussed in the past videos how something doesn't add up here that I believe the previous good king of Elbaph was manipulated and brainwashed into following the whims of the Marines and the government. Maybe it was even part of Mother Carmel's mission over 60 years ago for the government, as she was a respected granny in Elbaph while at the same time she was Diddy's supplier. But after the death of King Harold, whose murder was blamed on Loki, the deal with the government of Elbaph must have collapsed, meaning no more giant children for Emu. Perhaps that's why Loki went against his father after learning this dark truth. TLDR, Loki did nothing wrong, but I will expand on this later in the video. Because the threat is not over, as Kiba orders to sound the horn and warn the entirety of the country, but Saul decides to be an idiot who doesn't learn from his mistakes. He asks Kiba not to sound the signal, possibly trying to avoid a mass panic. Did bro learn nothing from the Ohara incident? Come on, man. You just punched the shit out of this snake, which raised your stocks, and now you're saying this?
My disappointment is immeasurable.
But Kiba is big brain. He tells Saul to look into the forest where even more monsters are emerging as the math teacher sounds the horn. However, at the same time, the kids at the Walrus school start passing out, which confuses the adults even more. But the situation gets worse as we cut to the underworld where Loki is finally freed. And not only is my guy massive, he is strong enough to scare the shit out of his older brother, even with a sea stone shackle on his leg. Moreover, he orders them to remove his shackles, threatening them with the knowledge of Elbaph's weakness, fire. Well, you know, considering their home is literally just a big ass tree in a forest, fire is its worst enemy. But the way Loki generates his flame is through his almighty hammer. It is a play on words, which the literal translation means iron thunder, and that's exactly what it can do, as it is the literal iteration of Mjolnir, the hammer of the thunder god Thor. Now, a common misconception is that Thor's powers come from the hammer. However, it is quite the opposite. It is said that he destroyed all the weapons that were forged for him, since none of them could withstand his power until Mjolnir came. The hammer is more of a conduit for Thor's powers and not his source, meaning the same can be said about Loki. So either Loki himself has devil fruit lightning powers, which he uses Ragnir as a conduit for, or both Loki and Ragnir have their own fruits where the hammer is the conduit. Because why would Loki give his legendary devil fruit to his hammer, which he fought so hard to retrieve, to the point that he got chained to the giant tree for years? This would also answer the big question: who the heck left Ragnir next to big man Loki? If we take Hjarden as an average height of the giants, this hammer is much bigger than him. Furthermore, we know that Loki is accused of being an arsonist, a madman who wants to destroy all of Elbaph. But what if the reason Loki was after the legendary fruit to give his hammer was so that it could help calm his powers down? His abilities, when used, might just affect an area indiscriminately, making it dangerous for everyone. But with his hammer, he can channel it and use it appropriately. It's also possible that none of the giants were strong enough to move the hammer away from Loki, similar to the myth of Mjolnir, where Thor was the only one who could wield it. However, due to the hammer being a devil fruit wielder too, it had its own will and would crash out or try to free its master Loki when separated from him. Regardless, we finally get to see it in action, as with just one strike, Loki hits the Atom Tree, causing lightning to erupt on impact. And if lightning hits a tree, it's always followed by fire, as Ripley stated in chapter 1141. This all but confirms that Loki was the one who caused the lightning attack during his rampage 6 years ago, which led to the fire in Haugen village, where the giants would eventually just cut off the branch to save Elbaph. Now, this attack was so massive that the people in the sun world could also see the fire and lightning from the underworld. Loki's attack is undisputedly the biggest destructive power we have witnessed in One Piece. Everything in Elbaph is giant-sized, right? In front of the Atom Tree, even giants look like insects, but Loki's lightning can be seen reaching heights of insane proportions. Even Luffy's Bajrangan would pale in comparison. Yeah, so Loki is no joke, and Luffy is in for a treat. The guy tanked Gunko's multiple attacks and Shamrock's Cerberus, and still has the power to stand up regardless of his sea stone shackles. A thing to note here is that literally literally everyone is freaking out as Loki smashes the Atom Tree. But my guy Zoro is locked in. This is just another stepping stone for the right hand of the future Pirate King. It's obvious. Loki and the monster trio will throw a few punches at each other, with Loki eventually respecting Luffy as a warrior and even more so as a captain, since, let's be honest, his lightning is not affecting Luffy. And we know Loki is a good guy. Gaban mentioned how kind Loki is inside all of that bravado Sigma male facade of his. Even Luffy, who has one of the greatest emotional IQ in the show, believes Loki to be a good guy. And the reason he wants his shackles removed is because he has seen the God's Knights and what their plan is with Elbaph. After the betrayal he likely faced 6 years ago, where everyone believed him to be the killer of his father, it's possible that Loki doesn't trust anyone to save Elbaph. He likely will even see Luffy and the gang as the ones who let the God's Knights into his country. So him and the Straw Hats will finally make up and team up to defend Loki's home. But regardless, leaving Loki's rampage aside, Elbaph has even bigger problems. Remember the giant shadow snake? Well, it has friends. This is honestly one of the greatest panels in One Piece. It is immaculate. We got the Loki hammer double spread, and now this Oda is spoiling us with this peak fiction. We see a scary bear, a fire skeleton called a Dragir, a giant that resembles Loki, the Norse wolf Fenrir, an evil thunder cloud, which is a nod to how thunder is one of the weaknesses of Elbaph, and even Big Mom's power. There is also a goofy ass ghost. Even Big Mom makes an appearance because, you know, she wrecked hell in Elbaph over 60 years ago, so the kids are probably learning like old maid's tales and like, yo, if you misbehave, Big Mom's gonna show up and you up, don't. So they're scared of Big Mom too. And we also see an ancient bird, and finally Black Nika. But the greatest reveal was, of course, a dragon, not monkey deadbeat dragon.
This nigga is trash.
I told y'all dragon was coming to Elbaph, and Loki, there's a dragon in Elbaph. Like, I'm kind of right, you know?
This guy is fucking stupid!
So I'm running kind of low on the dragon hopium right now. Please, guys, go get some gamer subs. Code ABD for 15% off. If you guys get gamer subs, I get gamer subs. They send me some gamer subs. I drink that shit, and my dragon hopium is gonna get filled right back up. We have a 2-week break, and there'll be dragon videos coming, okay? Anyway, now considering Saul one-shot one of these creatures earlier, I doubt they are infinitely more powerful. However, each of these monsters' powers might reflect back to what brought them to life, which is fear. Anj, a teacher at the Walrus School, thinks back to how earlier during one of her classes, the children were told to draw the representation of what they see as their greatest fears. Each one draws a different entity, which now, in front of everyone's eyes, have come to life. From the get-go, it makes sense why the kids would be scared of these monsters, as most of them are mythical legends representing destruction in Elbaph's culture. But Sid, Nika is a protector and liberator. Why would the kids be so scared of him? Well, if you've forgotten, Nika is considered a liberator and also a destroyer, depending on which side you're on. And with Loki calling himself the sun god alongside the various other stories they've heard, it's not too far-fetched to think that the kids are really afraid of him. Just think back to Madame Shirley's prediction of Luffy bringing the destruction of Ryugu Kingdom, which is a scary thought for the Fishman folk. However, as we know, our theory suggests that the destruction of Fishman Island will happen due to the red line being broken and everyone becoming free. So although Luffy destroys something, it's a way of liberation. Another thing I noticed is that the events currently remind me of Luffy's adventures inside of the Lego world of Rodo. Rod was the sun god of his little terrarium, where he towered over the inhabitants, just like Loki to the people of Elbaph. Loki's father wanted the people of Elbaph to assimilate with the outside world more, while Loki thought the opposite. He wanted the giants to stay inside Elbaph. The big tree Yggdrasil in the Lego world is like the Atom Tree, where the inhabitants of the tiny plane were deathly afraid of the tree burning down. In the Lego world, Hilmangander, the snake, was bested by Luffy. This chapter, a similar snake, this time the Jorgenmander, was beaten by Saul. And just like how Luffy broke the cage of Rodo's world, freeing the people, Luffy and Loki together will free Elbaph either symbolically from the God's Knights or after the third war ends with the defeat of Emu. However, it's not only Nika the kids are afraid of, as you might recognize the other names of these creatures if you have played the latest God God of War games. The reason Anj did this is so the children can show their true personalities, where they are encouraged to express their feelings by drawing the things they fear the most. But how are all the children's nightmares coming to life? The answer lies, of course, in a devil fruit, but not just any fruit, an awakened one. It is revealed that Saint Killingam is the op responsible. By using his zone powers, he was able to bring out the greatest fear of each of the children they targeted. But with Black Nika coming into existence, my guy Zoro is gonna get an extra arc.
Oh, how much you love white folks? Best thing the good Lord ever did for the planet Earth.
However, there is an entire process involved in this situation. It seems this power puts targets to sleep by extracting their nightmares, which worked perfectly with Gunko's power to direct things with her arrows as the sleeping kids were pulled towards the shore. Perhaps these creatures can only come into reality while the kids are asleep. Maybe Saint Summers has the sleeping ability, which could mean that even if you destroy them in real life, they will regenerate like Jinwoo's shadows. The only way to counteract this is to wake the kids up. But talking about Gunko, whilst they are creepily luring the kids away, Saint Summers asks what her greatest fear is, in which Gunko reveals it's Nika. But how does she even know about Nika? I mean, yeah, she's a part of the Holy Knights, but don't forget, not a lot of people know about the existence of Nika other than the higher-ups like the Gorosei. Not even the Fleet Admiral has any clue about this entire situation. But we know that Sakazuki is only interested in absolute justice and possibly doesn't care about the whole history of the planet and all this Nika bullshit. However, it is possible that there is more to Gunko than meets the eye. See what I did there? I said I and the editor zoomed in on the eye. I swear to God, bruh. Last week you cut my whole dragon bit and y'all do this?
चीटिंग करता है तू चीटिंग करता है तू
Anyways, using my balls deep observation haki, I think I just might have an answer to this, and that is Gonko is secretly being controlled by Imu or possibly Imu himself. Okay, this is not Dragon that's coming to Elbaph. Yusuf kinda agreed with this logic as well. I just want to point this out. Not Sid's headcanon. Anyways, we've been theorizing that Imu shared his powers amongst the top tier of the world government, being the Gorosei and even the Holy Knights, as evident by the use of the teleportation circle through Imu's mark. Now, this power extends from Imu's devil fruit along with his secret of immortality, and when he killed Saint Garcia, it looks more like Imu extracted his own power back, which resulted in the Gorosei to rapidly age rather than outright killing him. Another thing to note is that Gunko has heterochromia, which is two different colored eyes, hinting at the possibility of two different souls residing in a single body. We saw this effect happen with Hakuba and Cavendish, where there are two egos residing within Cavendish's body. So Gunko stating her greatest fear is Nika might be Imu's actual response rather than Gunko being afraid of him, as it sounds like she knows him personally. The simpler answer though would be that when celestial kids are raised, they are told of scary stories regarding Sun God Nika, just like how the giant kids were told of stories to fear Fenrir or Dragur. So with the Holy Knight making their move and Loki getting free, the Elbaph arc is now on overdrive. But what about the Sun World right now? The danger seems too intense for Gaban to enjoy his retirement. So the left hand of the Pirate King will surely join the other Straw Hats and Giants in defending Elbaph against the Holy Knights, with Usopp becoming their true hero. This is Usopp's arc, bruh. I'm telling y'all, it's about to go down. My guy is literally about to be the MVP, doing the same thing he did in Dressrosa, lying his ass off until it was time to do something about it. The Dontadas had great expectations from Usolando, and the same can be said about the Giants, as now everyone thinks my guy can defeat someone like Oars. So Usopp will have to come to a decision, and in a poetic way, he will literally fight fears to eventually become the bravest warrior of the sea. And on top of that, he is pissed drunk. I mean, Nami made it a point to mention that last chapter. So with his drunk bravery, he will trick everyone into thinking Russ is actually him. Meanwhile, Five-Anji's mission also seems pretty clear: to fight Saint PDF Summers, who yaps on about how love always hurts, which is creepy as hell. Like, how do you love people that hurts? Like, what is this old man talking about? But Sanji stands in opposition to that, because as we all know, only Sanji gets hurt when gooning. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hit the like button and watch this other video on screen to enjoy more peak fiction. I'm making that dragon video. Mark my word. They can't stop me. Dragon's coming to Elbaph.